Hello. Well, I'm finally down a pound. Went from 166.4 to 165.4 today. Probably because of all the walking around work the other day. It does feel nice to see that number finally go down after 3 days of stagnation. Although it makes me more determined to see it go down further by intentionally putting the work in. Alright, well, what was eaten today? Well, in the morning, I had a cup of coffee, nothing in it, just black, 2 espresso shots, as well as a pumpkin spice flavored Quest muffin, only 2 grams of carbs. That was pretty much my breakfast. Okay, what was for lunch? Well, for lunch, I had a smoked turkey sandwich with my mom. It had mayonnaise, mustard, chili pepper, spinach, tomato, and me and my mom split a bag of Quest protein chips, the lime flavored ones. Very good. That was all. NNA and W, 0 sugar. Now we move on to the late afternoon meal, where I ate on my lunch break at work. On my lunch break, I ate the leftover cod from yesterday that had steamed broccoli around it. I was a little worried about it originally, but after trying it out, I actually was pleasantly surprised. I thought it tasted very good. I would eat it again, actually. Kind of reminded me of sushi in a way, except more seasoned. Then I had 2 hard-boiled eggs that were made by my sister. I put a little dabble of salt and pepper in them. Very good. And a Quest protein bar, peanut butter and chocolate flavored, with another cup of coffee. Then, for when I returned home around 10:25 at night, reached into the fridge and just pulled out whatever looked good to me. Bologna, smoked turkey sandwich meat, salami, and even got some carbonated cherry Sweetwater from work. Don't worry, this used sucralose as the sweetener, not sugar. Although it did taste very sugary, surprisingly. It was quite good. Well, that was pretty much my last meal. And then I took my vitamins, which was the last thing I ingested for the day. Well, now we can move on to the daily update. I almost forgot to mention any exercise. No dedicated exercise again. Once again, just walking around the store. Well, it's better than nothing, I suppose. Alright, now we can get into the daily update. So, how did it start? It started at 6. Now, when I got up, I walked into the kitchen, I got some water, and then my mom wanted to talk to me about various things. And so we were sitting in the living room, just chatting. But it was more so I was listening to her, and I was kind of slowly, nodding in and out, because I was really tired. So I decided to go into my room and go back on my bed, and I ended up staying in bed from 6:30 all the way to 10. Yeah, I felt pretty bad about that. The whole reason I woke up so early in the first place was so I could develop my editing skills, as well as get some, personal just things done, like doing recycling, for example, things like that. Because I went back to sleep and then woke up later, I was just very disappointed in myself, very annoyed that I didn't follow through. And instead, I chose to grab my phone and browse on it. Yeah, any consolation, I guess. I did find a interesting video to watch, which was a meme video about steamed hams. For those who don't know, there's a Simpsons episode where, from like the 90s, where Superintendent Chalmers and Principal Skinner have a unforgettable luncheon, and people have taken this scene and they've remixed it, they've re-edited, they've just taken all different creative liberties with it. And I originally thought that this meme died way back in 2018 or 19, I believe. I don't know exactly when it first appeared, but this meme still goes strong, honestly. There seems to be a new version of it every other year. The last one I watched was one where it was different animation styles. And then there was another one that was just a straight up live action remake, but it was made by the original people who animated the original steamed hams, so they knew exactly like how to present it. And now this one is like a 1970s style, like Janus Films experimental art house movie, and it's very funny. It was like presented as like a 42-minute like award-winning, like bold risk-taking art house feature short film. Like you could see the film grain on it and how the actors were all like playing off each other, and like the dialogue, the way they talked felt very much of like that era, and the way they acted also felt very much like that era. It was a very unique take on the meme, and it was unexpectedly artistic, and I really enjoyed that. Actually, I really liked that a lot. I was super into it. I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. Yeah, what can I say? I give it a thumbs up. Well, after experiencing that masterpiece, I got up out of my room, and my sister was in the kitchen. We talked. We had a good conversation, and then my mom arrived, and then we had lunch together. And after we had lunch, I felt kind of bad that I didn't really do anything to move the needle on my own like progress or work. So I decided to spend my time going to my computer and at least putting 15 minutes of editing on my little video project before getting ready for work, because my timeline for needing to go to work was rapidly approaching. So I did spend 15 minutes, and even though I only got like at most like a minute edited out of what is currently 29 minutes of footage, I did feel decently rewarded. Like I didn't completely blow off like what I'm trying to do with my life, you know, like I actually did something that made me feel like I moved the needle forward a little bit. And, you know, that's good. I like that. Well, after I was done with that 15 minutes of editing, I decided to get dressed and go to work. Said goodbye to my mom and my sister. I told them both I love them. And then I headed off in my car. Yeah, on the way there, the road was being worked on, and I was a little worried I wouldn't be able to go take my normal route, but luckily it was a-okay, so no big issues there. Now, at work, when I got there, the first 2 hours was spent doing the front end, and then the next 2 hours was spent doing the sweeps. So sweeping the produce area, sweeping the break room, and sweeping the store. I have to say my mood the entire time was in the vein of, well, here we go, let's do this thing. It wasn't a like enthusiastic woohoo, and it wasn't like, it was more like, well, it's the business, time to do the business, you know. That's the best way I could describe it. Very machine-like, robotic, you could say. I mean, it's not like I ignored customers' needs or wants. Like I addressed them, and if they had questions about where they needed to find a product, I took them to where they needed to go, and I would always help out any customers in need when they needed their help with their groceries to take outside. So in that respect, very good. It's just internally as I was working, I kind of felt very robotic-like. Pretty interesting. Well, anyways, I did punch out for work. For lunch, I drove home for lunch. When I got home, I had the fish, and my mom was away, but my sister was there, and she gave me the hard-boiled eggs, so I had that, and the Quest protein bar. I have to be honest though, I feel like when it comes to the Quest protein bar, I probably shouldn't eat that before needing to go back to work, because for whatever reason, that bar specifically gives me urgencies for the restroom. So probably not a good idea to eat that before leaving for work. So yeah, I guess I just wanted something crunchy to eat while watching a podcast from Digital Foundry, which is what I did watch as I was eating. Nothing really too interesting to report from it. The most interesting thing I could say is that apparently Dead Rising The Beast is a very well optimized title. on both PC and console. And if I'm remembering correctly, there was a fan question where a fan asked Digital Foundry, a group of tech experts in the video game space, if they believe 50 gigabytes of unified memory will be in next-gen consoles for AI-driven features, and they all believed that it would be 24 gigabytes of memory because, memory is apparently really expensive, and trying to put too much in a consumer-grade device that's supposed to be the best bang for your buck is not a good idea, because it'll increase the price of the device and price out the consumers that you were originally marketing the console to. Pretty interesting. Well, anyways, I was done eating. I left. I said goodbye to my sister. My mom had arrived around the middle of the time I was there. I said goodbye to my mom, and then I left for work. When I got to work, I had my first hour on sweeps. So I decided to spend that first hour taking out the trash, because I know that I was part of the closing crew, which consisted of just 2 people, me and one of our general merchandisers. So I took out the trash, and then I started refilling the bags in each check stand. And closing chores is you need to do a few things at once in order to get the job done. So for example, like the first hour, you gotta punch in your sweeps, you gotta take out the trash, you gotta refill the bags. I mean, it's not too big of a deal, you just need to remember to punch in at the same time. And then the second hour wasn't also too bad either, because I didn't have any responsibilities that hour when it came to doing carts or doing sweeps, but I did have responsibilities in bagging for the customers. So, you've got to refill bags in while also tending to the customers at the same time, so you got to jump back and forth. And then the last 2 hours I was given the duty of doing carts, but I needed to dedicate time to also bagging and doing my closing chores. Luckily, I was able to refill all of the bags by the end of the last hour, while also having to tend to the customers. And then for the final hour, I had to make sure that all the carts were put away, and also to wipe down all the check stands I was assigned to and refill the cleaners and paper towels. So I did all of that, and ultimately got good results. The receipt tape was also on the list, but we didn't have any fresh receipt tape available to restock, so that was rendered unavailable. But everything else was done, so I was able to complete everything, say goodbye to all my coworkers, punch out, and I did a little bit of shopping. I picked up some filtered milk for coffee and tea. I picked up some whipped cream with 0 sugar, because I wanted to try that out on the pumpkin spice muffin from Quest to see if that might improve it a bit. I also got 2 different flavored bubbly waters. Cherry flavored. They weren't the brand bubbly, they were my store's brand, which means they had a bit of sucralose in them to help sweeten them a bit. So cherry and raspberry. I haven't drinking the raspberry one. I did drink the cherry one, which I thought was quite good, actually. I really enjoyed that one. So I went into the line, bought my things, paid with cash, and then I said goodbye to my manager and gave a little fist bump. I walked away with my items, and when I was in the car, I was looking for something to listen to as I was driving. I found something that was like a guy saying, "You're not lazy, you're just tired." And it was basically like a guy who was using like a stick figure character to kind of demonstrate. I wasn't able to watch this, I was just able to listen to it. But basically he was trying to demonstrate how, we kind of allow our energy to be used up by other things. And it's important to conserve your energy for things that will grow you or that are important to you. And it's not because you're being selfish, but it's because you are trying to you're trying to respect your own boundaries and make a better, life for yourself. So I just thought that was a pretty interesting video to listen to on my way home. Now, when I got home, I put the items I bought away in the refrigerator. I had some turkey, I had some salami, I had some bologna, I had some multivitamins, I drank that bubbly beverage, I brushed my teeth, I was watching something my mom was watching, which was a guy talking about how we had straight teeth just by using our teeth naturally, but because ever since we got processed foods that didn't challenge our teeth, we started getting teeth that were misaligned. It was a pretty interesting little documentary. And then I walked in on her watching another little video about like a guy talking about how 100% pure cacao is really good for you and you should eat it every day because it gives you like magnesium and antioxidants. And he was using different like recipes and giving ideas. It was a pretty interesting video. Well, after that, I decided to make a little list of the top 3 things I want to do as soon as I wake up in the morning to motivate me to actually do those things. I guess I could quickly go over that. First thing is wake up at 6 a.m. and stay up because I'll have plenty of time for myself to get my own agenda completed. The second thing was fold and put away clothes so my room won't be as messy as it is right now because I have some clothes that I need folding too. And take a shower so I won't take one right before I leave for work. Yeah, I like the feeling of like you already took a shower before, so you can just put your attention on things that are like, you don't feel like you're rushed basically. Like, and I prefer that feeling over like, oh, I put everything off till the last minute. Now I'm going to do everything I should have done before, and I finally arrived at work, but I did it in a really rushed way. So I don't want to do that. I want to get all the things I need to get done first. So when I leave for work, I'll feel like I didn't put myself off, but actually, worked hard for myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna edit and post this video now. Well, when I say edit, I mean use the AI edit tool in InShot. But yeah, I mean, I don't have. If it takes me like 15 minutes to cut 1 minute of footage, then I prefer my sleeping health over my video quality output health. Like that video output for high quality videos for me is for things that are like I'm trying to put my passion and heart into. Now, I'm not saying that these videos aren't passionate or have heart in them, but what I am saying is that these videos are meant to be released on a daily basis. So they're not something I'm gonna like put insane amounts of effort, just enough to get it out there. Well, anyways, I've gone on for long enough. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.